Hello, hello, hello. How's it going there, Aaron? Buenos dias. ¿Cómo está? Stit. Let's see, dog there. All right, good. So, kind of start by did some work on the instrument approach stuff last night. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at that. That's coming along nicely. So I'm trying to get it look like real instrument approaches. Trying to have the policy, kind of the procedures that you'd have on real instrument approaches. So bring up the plate. So this is the current plate that I'm kind of working off of. So this is off Vero Beach's NDB 11 right, and so I'm just kind of editing. So this is my plan view here for the NDB approach, my vertical for the NDB approach. Mist is good. I need to then fix out all this stuff. This stuff is just altitude stuff. It's not a big, huge deal. Some of the stuff's pretty basic. It's mostly just nomenclature, but mostly it's done. Let's bring up the rest of what I was working on here. So this is the airport diagram. Let's see if we can find the actual paint one. There it is. There's the airport diagram. So the airport diagram, I don't know how it got flipped. Let's see. Image. So this is the airport diagram. So this came out really nicely, I think. So helpful. Somebody was asking why this is alpha or saying I shouldn't be alpha. That's how it continues. Alpha continues. It goes in one direction. So alpha should continue like this. You wouldn't put a different taxiway here because you would taxi. Like, for example, if they were telling you to leave the hangar and to go to runway 3, they would say, Albatross taxi, turn left via Bravo 1, hold short of runway 3. Alpha 1, Alpha, hold short of runway 12, Alpha, hold short of runway 3. And so you would taxi up, you'd hold short, they'd say Albatross cleared across, continue taxi, you'd come up Alpha 1, you go left on Alpha, you would hold short of 12, and then they'd say Albatross cleared across 12, you cross 12, you continue on Alpha and hold short of runway 3. That's how it would go. It doesn't change up, so that's fine, you know. For example, here's one at Logan. Diagram. Airport diagram of Logan. Let's grab it. That's the wrong one. That's the right one. So, like, this is the airport diagram for Logan. You can see it here on Bravo. So here's Bravo, right? Bravo continues, then Bravo turns, and there's Bravo. Doesn't, you don't do a new taxiway for that. Like, Fox is long enough, Charlie's long enough, you would continue, but Bravo just hooks like that. You can also see it on Juliet here. Juliet angles there. Delta, you don't do a new taxiway for that. Charlie, like, look at Charlie. Charlie comes down, Charlie angles, you continue because you don't change the. It's like it would be like halfway through a street, it changes name. You don't do that. You're staying on one street, it keeps the same name. Mike goes all the way down. You don't change Mike over arbitrarily at some point. So, yep. So that's why it is the way it is. Let's read some of this chat. Did you hear about the Hawker and Challenger? I did not, no. Interesting. Dual engine failures are very rare. Interesting. If both of them go out, it sounds mechanical, unless you ingest something. If you ingested birds or FOD, likely that, but interesting. Oh, thank you, Aaron. How's it going there, Citrus? Yeah, so this diagram stuff came out nicely. Let's go ahead and Basilicious is working on some stuff for ILS, which will be cool. That'll be nice. And hopefully I can get that in. ILS is a little bit more challenging to make. Let me see if I can get something up here, and I'll show you ILS. ILS. So ILS is the. I don't know if best is the right word. ILS is the. I'll use the word best. ILS is the best system. It's the most accurate. It gives you horizontal and vertical navigation, which is helpful. It's very accurate. So, for example, this is your ILS here, and so you have the localizer is the shack is at the. You can see this is the shack. It's at the end of the runway. So you put the localizer, which is horizontal left-right, at the end of the runway, and then you have your glide slope. It's usually off to the left. and it's right at the where you would touch down at your touchdown point. And so it shoots out a beam, and the closer you get to the runway, the tighter it is. So when you're way out here, you know, it says right here, that's the outer marker. But like when you're 10 miles out, the beam is quite wide for horizontal, so it kind of funnels you in. And so then as you get close, the needle will move more quickly, so you have to make quicker corrections because you don't want to get off of you know, off center line. And then it has a 3-degree glide slope. So I'm curious how, like I would so Basilisk was talking about doing like a just 1 -1 on the horizontal and 1 -1 on the vertical, which I think is the best way to do it, and then have us code it from there, which I think is good. You know, for example, like you know, if I was to put a shack here, I'm trying to think of the best way to do the shack. So if you put out a 3-degree, if you put out a 3-degree beam off the shack, that should be pretty easy because what you should be able to do is come in with a essentially the value of a tilt sensor. So you would, if you tilted the tilt sensor at 3 degrees and you knew what the number was going to be, you knew that was a 3-degree, and that would be your new basis for what a 3-degree glide slope would be. And then full deflection would be, say, -1 to the bottom and 1 to the top. And then the same thing here would be you would guide out the horizontal. So I'd have to look at it. I know Jan made one years ago, but that's ILS. That's the most accurate. Because it's so accurate, you can get down your decision height where you have to decide if you're landing or going around, going missed, frankly. Not going around. If you can't get in on ILS, you're going missed and you're going your alternate. But you would then, you know, at 200 feet, if you can see the runway lights, approach lights, or the airport itself, you can continue down to 100. And then at that point, if you see the runway, you can land. So let's go ahead and why is the music so quiet? Let me see how this. Okay, it's barely going. Let me just crank it a little bit. How's the music for you guys? That sound good? Just want it barely hearable, audible, hearable. Kind of like to build something. I can't stay on too long. I've got about 2 hours and change here, but so I don't know if I showed you guys the ultralight. Let's look at that real quick. I did some changes. I think I started showing it and I didn't get through it. So maybe we'll run some cooling tests too. I was starting to do that. So redid the ultralight. I like this motor better. It was really tall. So let me see if I can find the previous version. So here was the previous. I didn't mean to do that. Let's go back. All right. So here's this one. This is the first version. And then this is the new version. And so I had to make some changes for the cooling because essentially, you know, it's spawned. They're different fucking ultralights. Stand by. We're working on here. All right, so here is the. Yep, this is it. Okay, so there's the original one in back, and this is the new one. So if we look at it here, it's much taller. This is much cleaner. And so this one also cools properly. So it has a regular radiator. The issue I think we're having with a lot of the cooling now, I'm going to do a cooling tutorial when I get a little bit more testing done. But we're not spawning enough water in. So for example, for this one's air-cooled, you need the tank to get flow rates. And with the current setup we have, we're not getting enough flow rate to get good cooling. And so what I did was, and I think it's because we don't have enough water, like if there's no tank, I get like 2 liters per second flow rate. With the tank, it was like 22 liters per second. This is much higher flow rates right here with a radiator, because the radiator spawns, I think, with 47 liters of water in it. And so that kind of primes it. And so this is much more compact. I like this a lot. And this cools well. Changed some other stuff like prop pitch and stuff, but that's kind of set up. Let's go ahead and grab my testing rig here. I don't need all of these, so I'm going to probably delete them out. Let's see. Let's delete a bunch of these. So I'm kind of trying to do a little cooling test here. I haven't really stressed these enough. I just barely started this, so we might run this in the background here. But let's go ahead and So let's go. And I was gonna run into a problem where I wasn't gonna be able to even get this to overheat by the time it ran out of fuel with that little tank. All right, so pretty much put a generator on here for load and runs. And so let's make a copy. We did a little testing the other day of a system that I think is pretty good. So let's go ahead and copy this over. And I can run these in the background, and then I think I'm going to put something that will tell me when they overheat or what their max temp is. So this is a 3x3 radiator. This is a 2-cylinder. It's a pretty small motor, but we still should be able to get, as long as they're the same, we still should be able to get consistent results. But for example, this was something interesting that I wanted to test. So what I want to do is generally what I do is the coolant pump comes on at 100 degrees. I want my engine to get up to temp like I would IRL. You get better performance like that anyway. Let's see where we're at here. Radiator fan coolant pump constant 1 right there. So I'm just going to go like this. That's going to keep my coolant pump going the whole time. And then what I want to do here is actually testing. We did this the other day. Test it out utilizing... Why do we have so many of these? Test it out utilizing the air liquid heat exchanger, and it was really efficient. So let's try that. I just want to run this test in the background. All right, so let's see. That gonna be in the way? Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Shit. Gotta move that. I could go on the bottom here, so let's undo that bullshit. Okay, good. Right here. Alright, and let's feed this the same belt drive information. Make sure that this gets fixed. So I'm just going to go like this to make sure the pumps come on right away. Alright, let's grab one of these Bad Johnny's air liquid heat exchanger right here. We'll make that the wet side, and then what do we got here? This is always backwards every time, so let's see. That is fluid out. Fluid out. Yep, that's backwards. I'm trying to decide the best way to do this. So we can get really high rates of airflow through these. So let's try something really quick. Let's leave that other pump without anything for now. And let's try this. Because ideally a scoop is one of the most compact ways to run it. So let's see if I can get it to work with a scoop. And we'll just ram it out the back. Ram. We'll kind of compare these. All right, so that should run us there. All right, let's try this test here. I'll do a generator tutorial as the next part of the module engine tutorial series. That's essentially what this is. It's just not PID controlled right now. It's just I just have the RPS pegged so that it goes as high as it will go. So we're currently running at, let's see if I can find the RPS here off of the clutch or the crankshaft. 11 RPS. We're 3-to-1 to a small generator. So the engine is under load. You need to put the engine under load or you're not going to get any sort of results. Alright, that's running. And then, shit, I need to hook up the radiator fan on this one. That's plugged in. Why is it not going? Interesting. Radiator fan should... I thought I changed it up. Oh, you know what I did? All right, here. So what we'll do is if it's greater than 0, okay, that will fix that, and the radiator fan will come on right away. So I'm just testing these. Normally, like I said, I wouldn't have even my cooling system turn on till 100 degrees. But I want them on now so that I can just see eventually it'll be a quicker test, so it'll stop heating when they're ready. Yes, I'm going to work on that motorcycle. I really want to get a proper diesel into it. That's going to be what's complicated. I was thinking of also using a reaction wheel for kind of as a stability system to smooth out the yaw on it. So that's another thing. Yeah. Be able to cool my modular for my fishing boat for the challenge. I can't make it fuel efficient though. What's your gear ratio, CG? Like what the two most important things are what is your RPS, like Citrus is asking it right now. RPS, AFR, also what are your gear ratios? So 12 RPS, whatever. Okay. CG, you do know you need to make your own microcontroller, right? Are you aware of that, CG? You can't use those ECU. How's it going there, Basilicious? Good to see you. Yeah, CG, you're required to make your own microcontrollers. You're aware of that, right? For this challenge. Let's bring up the rules that people don't read. It's a little late in the show to be not having following the rules here. Let's find it. All microcontrollers and components must be made by you. Nothing from the workshop, in bold. Which it didn't bold properly, but it did not bold properly. Here, let's bold that properly here. Somebody will accuse me of changing this if I bold it, but we'll do it anyways because I don't care of accusations. Actually, we'll just cancel it. I don't want to screw with it. But yeah, right here. Rule 5. All microcontrollers and components must be made by you, nothing from the workshop. So you can't use these controller. That's going to be a disqualifier right there. So check that out, CG. Yep. Yep. First thing for any sort of race, sporting event, challenge, read the rules. That's going to prevent some heartache is you don't read the rules and you submit something and I just disqualify it right off the bat. It kind of sucks. Alright, so checking this here. Let's check flow rates. Alright, so we're, fluid flow rates are very low right now. Likely, see, this is a problem. Maybe I'll I'll do a video on this at some point. It looks like the devs are not pre-spawning this with enough water for the air heat exchangers. Like when I did my test, I had a large quantity of water, and so this is part of the cooling issues that are making some of these things not viable. And so, like, if you look at this radiator, it is a 3x3, right? So it's, you're talking, you have 9 blocks of space, okay? Now, of course, you'd say some of it goes to the fan, some of it goes to the fins, whatever. But let's say, let's say you have 10, 10 liters, probably too much. Let's say you have, what's it showing, 48 liters. So let's say, that's actually probably about 50%. So let's say you have half a liter per block, right? Perhaps that wouldn't be enough. I wonder if that's what they're doing. Because that would be why this is showing such small literage. Because that's the problem why they struggle to cool. But let's check the temps. I don't know where the temps are at right now. Let's look at them. 71, and this one is at 47. So right off the bat, we can kind of see that this one's going to probably have cooling. Well, let's turn on this, on the air too. I meant to turn the wind on. I got distracted. All right, and then the wind is, wind direction of 0.5 is north-south. So now we're getting some airflow through there. So if you look, we have 499 liters per second. If I used an impeller at max velocity, we'd be getting like 599. So we really are not that much shorter by just using a scoop with full wind, of course. You know, if I pare this wind down, let's pare the wind down a little bit. Go to 50, see what it changes to. So you see that's, we lose a lot of airflow. So that is also one of the issues with using a scoop is you're going to lose airflow. So you need like massive amounts, which I should do a test, see what this I'll put a wind speed indicator on here, but we'll see how fast that's moving. But it looks like this is going to have problems because of the low water that's spawned in this. So I think those air coolers could be useful with like a combination unit, because the other units will spawn liquid. So like this one is ice cold. We have no problem with this. So let's go ahead back and let's put in some water, a water loop in here. And put a tank in here. Alright. Alright, let's put fresh water in there. So we're at like 3 liters per second last time. Let's see what we get to now. And then I meant to do this. Let's grab a wind. Alright, we'll grab a wind indicator here. I'm just going to stick it right... that doesn't like to be stuck there, does it? Right there. Alright, so I want to see the speed of this wind. So, for example, this is 39 meters per second. So we're talking about... what would that be? That would be just shy of 80. What, 78 and a 7. Right, so you're talking 85 miles an hour. That's 85 mile an hour winds right there. So you'd have to be driving at 85 miles an hour to max out your airflow, essentially. So now if we look at this, wow, fluid's not moving at all. That's interesting. Oh, did I start? I didn't start them. Okay, that would be why it's not moving. Okay, let's see what the fluid movement is. All right, so now with that tank, we're only up to 8 liters per second. So this is the problem with essentially what the devs did is, you know, the radiators are spawning with water, which they should. That's a radiator is filled with water. And so that's why we're getting reasonably good flow rates here. You can see it's showing it has 48 liters in there. And then this one, we've added whatever this little tank is. I forget how many liters it is. Let's see. Capacity is 31 liters. So that helps it a little bit, but you notice the flow rates are not great. And so we expect this one to have temperature problems because of the water not moving properly. It's been actually currently running cooler. Let's test it, see if it gets hot. All right, let's catch up with some chat here. Yeah, what do I think I run 13.7 on all my engines. You know, the big things are, let me read. I think he put his RPS. 12 RPS. All right, so that's your RPS. What are you running for gearing? 12 RPS is not too bad. You know, it's hard to tell just on load and everything else, but like, you know, you have to know your cooling setup. Oh, you said fuel efficiency is the issue. You know, 12's not that bad, but I don't know how big your engine is either. Uh, 0.25 meter cubed. Okay, 156 liters. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's... well, I'm trying to see what they put in the game. I was just trying to extrapolate from... This is 48. But that makes sense. Yeah, that's good. Can you explain to me what exhaust deletion is? Okay, exhaust deletion is if you take an air manifold and you plug it right into an exhaust manifold, it would just essentially delete the exhaust. And so back when, for example, you know, even if you put 10 catalytic converters on exhaust, it would still plume exhaust out. And then sometimes, especially in small builds, you were having problems where you might need like 3 exhaust pipes to be able to get rid of enough exhaust. And so it was a pain in the ass. And so what people would do is they would take the air manifold and they would stick it right in the end. Like, you didn't have to do anything to it. Some people said put a 1 in there. I never did, and it was fine. So if you take an air manifold and you plug it on the end of the exhaust, it would just get rid of the exhaust. And so you wouldn't need to worry about billows of black smoke. But now we really don't need to worry about that anyway. All right, let's give this a quick check. This is 57. What are you? So yeah, see, this one's getting hot already. Okay. So likely this is a water problem on this. Is this just like does not have enough water? Let's try something. This is gonna be a little ugly, but we'll see. I'm trying to see like how much water would we have to inject in this John to get it to kind of be on par with the other one. So I'm curious. That's the limiting factor now, is you would need water in there. You need a lot of water in there. So like this is now pushing about 14 liters per second, and that's moving 32. So this is still moving more water. So it's like, you know, that's kind of the thing that's going on here, is it's just a lot of water. And flow rate is king for cooling. The more water you can move, the cooler you're going to get in game. So what do we have? 27, 28. So this one starts out pretty cool, and then it starts rising. So because of the low flow rates, I'd say. Is the controller from the tutorial you made fine? No, make it yourself. Use the tutorial as a tutorial, and then make yourself a microcontroller. That's what it means when you make your own microcontroller. You can it's, for example, like if I did not invent addition, but I can use addition in the microcontroller. I'm not stealing addition from somebody else. You know, so you can use concepts, just don't copy it. You know, part of the whole point of that rule is for you to learn how to do it yourself. So that's the point. So taking one of mine is not learning to do it yourself. You know, that's the point of it. You can watch the tutorial and then you can follow the steps, but make it your own, make it yourself. Because part of the thing is, even if you copied it by building it yourself, the point is for you to build your own microcontroller. As you look at the components in the tutorial, hopefully if you're able to rebuild it yourself, you've learned how to do it. And that's the point, is for you to learn how to make your own microcontrollers. Because like, I would have challenges and I see the exact same microcontroller on every car, truck, or whatever, and it's nice, and you know, and people would be like, oh, I don't know how to build any of this stuff. And then you put that rule in and people build it and they realize, oh, that's not that difficult. You know, and now people can build their own stuff. And the benefit of that is now if you have a problem, if you want to make something different, or you don't like how that person made their microcontroller, you can change it because you now know how to do it yourself. So that's the whole point of it. How's it going there, Amanda? I'll do exhaust deletion here in a second on this test. Check the temp, 48, 44. Yep, so eventually this runs out. So like here, this is what exhaust deletion is. So it's putting air into the manifold there. And it's getting, so 59 liters per second of exhaust is coming out. 59 liters of exhaust is going into the air manifold, and then it's gone. It has no place to go, so the game just deletes it. So that's exhaust deletion, just getting rid of the exhaust. So people would do that to get rid of the smoke because it's completely getting rid of the exhaust, so it has no place to go. So that's all it was. You really don't, you know, you didn't need to do it earlier before either, but people did it because, like, the exhaust was unrealistic. Like, modern cars aren't spewing exhaust, and so you'd put, like, 5 cats on there, and you could restrict flow, and then it would still be blowing smoke, and it was annoying, so people would exhaust delete to just try to get rid of the smoke. You know, or you had a really compact build, and you'd do that. So this one is just not going to get... Let me try to test one thing here. Let's go like that. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get the water flows to get this cool. Now, the other thing, too, is if I can get the airflow up, I might be able to make this work all right. Trying to think here. This is always a challenge. All right, this is gonna be pipe central, but it'll be all right. All right, so let's see. That is fluid out, fluid in. Okay. Yeah, but that's the whole point of why that's in the challenges, so that people will learn to build some of these things themselves, because it was people just consistently, you know, they just use somebody else's builds, and it's helpful to learn how to do the stuff yourself. You know, that's how you actually learn the mechanics of it. You know, there were a bunch of challenges where people are like, oh, I'm never gonna be able to build this, and then they build it, and it's like, you know, it just they need to take the time and learn how to do it. All right, so let's run that. Let's go. That should be plumbed. Okay, let's go. Start them up. But that's exhaust deletion, Exorus. How's it going there, Anton? 3-1 and 2-1 for speed. Like what direction? So is it a flip switch? So like your propeller's moving 24 to 1 or 20, what are we? 3? 3. 36. You said 12. Yeah, it's going to be 36 RPS to the prop. Yes, exhaust deletion is a bug or a glitch. So you don't need to do it anymore anyway because there's no smoke. Yeah. It's pretty easy to figure out if it's a glitch. Would it happen in real life? Can you just put a magic box on the end of your exhaust in your car and it deletes all carbon from the world? You know, if that was the case, we would have it, right? So it's not realistic. You don't have it. Put a regular exhaust pipe on there. No exhaust deletion. That's a glitch. Yeah, so like for example, people used to use the air manifolds or fuel manifolds to delete water. So if they had a submarine, it was easy because you used to have problems overcoming pressure. So they would take water in their ballast tanks and then they would send them to, say, a fluid port, and it would delete the water out of the world. And that way they could, because you couldn't pump out against the water pressure. We don't have that issue anymore. So it's an exploit. Yep. Yep, and that's the same thing. So it's those ports, essentially what they're doing is the composite on there, or when it sends it to the engine, the engine is reading how much. So for example, this is probably how it works. So like right here, if we look at our air manifold, it's taking in 0.04 liters per second of air, okay? That is then sending that information via this connection to the cylinder. Then we read that cylinder via the composite in the microcontroller. But what happens to the air? The air is actually not actually going in the engine. The air comes from here, and it goes in here and is deleted. The number then passes through. So it says, bye-bye air, here's the number. And so what people are doing is then they're taking any sort of gas, and they're deleting it here, and then they're taking liquids and deleting them as well. So the same thing happens here is fuel comes in from the tank, which is a number, goes in here, is deleted, and the number passes through to the microcontroller. So maybe that makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, like, you know, I like certain glitches because, like Basilisk saying, it lets you make certain things you want. So, for example, like, if something should work, but it doesn't work because of legitimate issues, you can then glitch to fix it. So, like, sometimes I have a ship, it should float correctly or the right way. It's not. My Damon T800 still holds about 3/4 of the volume that it should, and it used to have the pivot glitch. Now it has the rocket glitch, and so now my tanker can actually hold the quantities it's supposed to hold, and so that's good for glitches like that. I've done a bunch of exhaust deletion on certain builds because they're either very, very tiny and I can't route the exhaust anywhere. Or like IRL, I'd be able to weld it however I needed to, but in game I can't, so I can delete it. Or I have 3, 4, 5 catalytic converters on my exhaust, and it's still spewing smoke and being annoying. So I put an exhaust deletion on it to try to get rid of that smoke. You know, I've tried, I've made an effort, didn't work out, and so I say screw it, I'll just do that. So like this one's still running hot. Yeah, it's the water. It's got to be the water. Like we're blowing huge quantities of air. So like this is the, we'll go to the other test here in a second. But so this is what the, I'll eventually do some more testing like this. We'll go through, try to create some more setups. Like, so this is the one I want to check. We'll check one more and then I'll move on. But this is kind of cool here. Is so we're definitely having a liquid issue. So I'm curious if we put a second stage on this, what it will look like. So let's see. Trying to think how to put a second stage on this is the question. That's fine, that pumps. So like, for example, when I had the scoop on there, the scoop was blowing at 499 liters per second of air. This little pump here, this little belt-driven pump, which has a negligible effect on the engine, is pushing 599 liters per second of air. So that little pump is more than enough to get your air blown through here. What I was thinking of doing is adding a radiator loop. But I'm trying to think where the hell I'd put it. I'll do that later. Right, let's move on. Let me quickly, I know Basilisk is here. Let me quickly find something. Let me see. HSI tutorial. Let's see. Let me see if I can do it with pictures. I try not to get a... There's a bunch of different... So HSI is horizontal situation instrument. HSI, I think. Indicator. That's what it... Horizontal situation indicator. And so, like, they have a bunch of different models. So, like, Basilisk is making something for doing approaches and stuff. And so, let me see. I'm trying to find one that I like. So, there's a bunch of different types, Basilisk. Just for example, this one here. This one here uses the glide path is these yellow, they're not quite chevrons, but there's a couple ways to do it. One, you can do the needle here, and then the other one, and you can do just a cross needle and then the glide slope. That's one you can do, or one type. The ones that more modern aircraft are using, I would say the best system. Let me see if I can find it. Try to find, let's see, Embraer, HSI. Trying to find one with the HSI up. Let me see if you show. Okay, here. Nope, you gotta suck. Let's see. Trying to find an ILS. Show me. Let me see if I can bring that video up I sent you. That was a good video. I'm just gonna try to find if there's one. Let me see. I'm trying to find a YouTube that shows it. Let's see. Trying to get like a proper commercial. I don't think it needs to be commercial. Let's try to do this one and I'll mute it out.
Hey, this is Kip.
If I had flights I'm hooked, I could boot it up, but let's see if I can find it. This is like more modern gauging here. Let me see. It's gonna take forever to find it probably. Yeah, this one has the flight director. Wouldn't want a flight director on there. Let's see. So generally, the needles will not, in modern systems, they won't even show up until you, this guy's just flying the flight director. That's useless to me. I'll find that video I sent you, Basilicious. was in general. General. Okay, there it is.
Approach. Once.
Stop talking to me, video. All right, so like if we watch here, this is the one I sent Basilicious. So as you're coming in here, so this is your ILS. So that is the course you'd want to be on. And so you notice the plane is at a 45-degree angle, of course. And so you're currently, if you look at the plane here, when you're far out here, the vertical element of the course, let me make sure you can actually see me here. Okay, good. The vertical element of the course, the plane's under it. So you notice the line would go up into infinity above you. And so because it goes into infinity above you, this line is showing above. So you see the line is above at the top. So that would be, say, 1. And then as the plane approaches here, okay, so let's talk about it again. So the line here, this is the vertical component. It's above the plane, so it's at the top. The plane is also to the left of the course. You can see the plane's to the left of this course. And so that's telling you that the course is to the right of you. Now, as you walk forward here, you notice right there. See when he gets close? That's when he's starting to intercept. You notice the needle will start to move. So as he gets close to the course, so let's say it was at a max value of 1 before. Now it's at 0.9. Let me see if I can slow this video down. Playback speed, let's go a quarter speed. All right, so watch the needle. So the needle is slowly coming in as he comes. So he turns on course. And as long as he maintains the course, it should stay centered. If he got to the right of course, the needle would move to the left. If he got left of course, the needle would move to the right. And here it goes. See, as he intercepts the glide slope here, the needle's starting to come down. So as long as he starts to angle down and follow the glide slope, it's going to match. He paused it himself. All right, so now see he's going on glide slope and he's on course, and they stay crossed like that. If he started getting above glide slope, the needle will go below him. If he started going below, the needle will go above him. So pretty simple. That's kind of what Basilish is working on. And so like a lot of them, so this is its own separate card. A lot of the newer systems are on the HSI. Basilish just showed me a picture. I'll bring it up so you guys can see it. But like this is like a modern HSI. So these are your like color doesn't matter to me, but like here are your needles. So you would have the same needles that were on that, but now they're on your artificial horizon. So that's really helpful. You know, you put as much into it as you want, Basilicious, of course. But like that's also the glide slope. That's just duplicated. You don't really need to double it up, but that's what it is. It's duplicated. Some people prefer looking at that, but that's certainly not necessary. But, yep, so that's what Basilish is working on, which is pretty cool. All right. And so that's why an ILS is superior to the type of approaches I was doing yesterday, which were essentially NDBs or ADF is the equipment. NDB is the type of approach. So, but yeah, that's kind of neat because that allows you to both do the vertical element. Like, that's good for, like, if you had a mountain in the way, it's a precision approach. And because it's precision, you can go down lower, closer to the airport. Let's say here, let's bring up, I know Margazorb was interested in the METARs and TAFs. Let's see, METAR K-Boss, do METAR TAF K-Boss. So that's Boston Logan. Let's bring it up. METARTAF.com. Oh, don't. I want it encoded, you scum. See, this is decoding it for me. I want it coded. See, this is decoding it. People are weak nowadays. They don't want to read coded weather. Weak. Noah will give me coded weather. Noah hates simplicity. It's funny. Like we had a conversation last week about this, and it's like, well, can you get it decoded? I'm like, yeah, you can get it decoded, but like. It's like, for example, me trying to, if I don't know Spanish, it looks crazy to me, right? But if you know Spanish, you just read it, and it's Noah. It's the government website. Can you just make it work, please? Here's a coded one right here. Noah's down. I go, oh my God. Give me the METARs and TAFs. Okay, so here's the METARs and TAFs for Logan. So hard to get stuff. See, this is all decoded. Don't decode my shit. Raw mode. There we go. Okay. I was trying to decode everything, donkey. So here is the METAR and TAF right there. And so we look at it. This is for Boston. So, like, the conversation came up because of Zulu. Zulu is Greenwich, England time, or UTC, which is Universal time. And everything's in Zulu because you'll change time zones all the time, right? So, this would be the 13th day of the month. So that is today's February 13th at 16:04 Zulu. So 4:04 p.m. Zulu. So for example, I am what's is it -5? 5. Yeah, 5. So so this came out about 21 minutes ago. So this is the METAR, which is the current weather in Boston. This usually comes out hourly unless the weather changes. And so this is telling you in Zulu time. So this was 21 minutes ago. The wind is 050, so that's the heading. So it's coming from right about here, northeast. It's at 16 knots and it's gusting to 27. We're currently having storms. 1 3/4 statute mile visibility. So you can look out the window and you can see 1 3/4 miles. Light rain, snow. And this one's fun. This is my favorite abbreviation. BR is mist. And so the way we remembered BR is mist is baby rain. Mist is baby rain. And then you have overcast at 700. So this is important here. So like if I was going to come and land at Logan today, the overcast portion here is very important to me. Overcast means it's a blanket. You can't see below you if you're above it. So it's like a blanket. There are no holes in the clouds. And so let me bring up AirNav, KBoss. So you should be able to get in on all runways in Logan with all approaches, but like here are the approaches for Logan. So the ILSs allow you to get down to 200 feet above ground level. All right, so if we look at the weather, the overcast layer is at 700. All right, so because the overcast layer is at 700, if I'm on the ILS, I can get down to 200. I know I can see the runway. So I know that as long as I do an ILS, no problem. Now, most of these other ones, like here's an RNAV GPS, runway 33 left. Let's view that one. So this one here, if we look at the vertical component, oh shit, the RNAVs might be all the way to the ground nowadays. I think the RNAVs are running, yeah, these are running vertical nav as well, I think, so. Yeah, they're running vertical nav. Shit. I'm trying to find, there's VOR Alpha. Alpha's a circle. See, the problem is that when they, well, it's not a problem, it's good. It's helpful. When they did the GPS approaches, it now lets you do vertical nav. So, where is the decision altitude? That's circling. All right, so right here, this one here, this VOR Alpha, you can go down to 620 feet. All right, and so when you come down on this approach at Boston, you can only go down to 620 feet. Well, if we look at the weather, it's overcast at 7. It's 700 feet. So we could come down even on a VOR approach and make it into the airport. But if this was overcast at 500 feet, we can't do this approach because we can only go down to 620 feet. And the clouds will be at 500 feet. We'd never see the airport. So there's no point in even starting this approach because we cannot see the airport. If the clouds were less than 620, we can't see the airport. So we would need to then go on an ILS. You go on an ILS, you go down to 200, you'd be good. If it said, you know, visibility is 0.1 statute miles, you couldn't go into Boston at all. Let's see. Altimeter is 2950, so the pressure's pretty low. So you put in, not that low, it's just below standard. So you put that in because your altimeter is based on pressure. So you change the number, and that will change the altimeter reading. So you have to put the altimeter of the airport, or else if it's off, you know, you'll think you're higher than you are and crash on the ground. I forget what AO2 is. This is a remark section. Peak wind is 050 at 27. That was recorded at 1600. All right, so that's the METAR. TAF is a forecast. So like TAF is, it's telling you from, be quiet, cat. from the 13th, which is today, that is 14:30 Zulu, so we'd subtract 5 off of that, so that was 9:30 this morning. Wind was 040 at 18, gusting to 30. 2 statute mile visibility. So if we look, the visibility is going down, or it's down now from where it was. Light rain, snow, broken at 800, overcast. So here, look at this right here. This is at 1600. It's forecasting that it's going to be overcast at 400. So the forecast said overcast at 400. The actual conditions are overcast at 700. So the forecast was worse than what it ended up being. But this is important here because at 400 we can't do any approach that's not an ILS, essentially. We only can do precision approaches at this point. Overcast at 1500, you can do all approaches. Broken at 300. No, that's not 300. That's 3,000. And then that's scattered at 12,000. So you notice as it gets later, the weather is going to get better. So anyways, hope you guys find that interesting. But that's kind of... That's why you have those different approaches. Is certain weather conditions, you're just not going to be able to make it in the airport. You need certain approaches. There was a crash. This is the last kind of thing I'll talk about. There was a crash. It was a doctor. We used to call a bunch of planes doctor killers because they were complex airplanes, and the doctor was skilled in being a doctor, but they're not skilled in being a pilot. They were amateurs at that, and so they would buy an airplane that was beyond them. And so there was a doctor going into Washington D.C. and the weather was really bad, and so he should have diverted earlier, but he went into the airport. If he had looked at the weather, he would have seen that there was no way he was going to make it into the airport. Instead, he went to the airport. He tried twice. You know, a commercial pilot would look, weather's below minimums, okay, divert. This guy, he saw the weather was below minimums, and he still went in, tried an approach, couldn't make it in. Why? Weather was below minimums. Did another approach, weather below minimums. Then he went to his alternate. So he's starting to run low on fuel now. So he goes to his alternate. If he lands one direction, he's got a non-precision approach. He can only go down to 600 feet. The clouds were at 300 feet. Okay? Or no, I think they were at 500 feet. They were just below him. Clouds are at 500 feet. So what's he do? Does an approach, goes missed, can't see the runway. ATC asks him, ATC is not your boss. You're the boss. ATC asks him, what do you want to do? He says, I want to do it again. He just did the approach. It didn't work. He's getting panicked and nervous now, and he goes and he does another approach. What happens? What you think will happen. Still can't see the runway. So then he runs out of fuel and crashes. All right, and so what he should have done is on the opposite end of the runway, you had an ILS. The ILS goes down to 200 feet. The clouds are at 500 feet. If he had told ATC, I want to do the ILS on the other side of the runway, he would have gone around, he would have gone under the clouds, seen the runway, landed, and been fine. So it's that's why they have those different approaches. But hopefully you guys find that interesting. I'm going to continue on reading chat, and then we'll move on here. Let's see. Yeah, tiny jet parts I'd like to see. I like the mods to a certain extent. I put them on before, but it's like for example, I would like to do Cap Air again. Stormlink does not appear it's being supported anymore. That's not even a mod. That's just an add-on. And at any point with a mod, the mod developer can get busy or just decide to stop supporting it, and you're screwed. And so that's kind of why I don't like using that stuff, is the support goes away. Yeah, I want vanilla as well. Yeah, just put in a feature request. The devs are giving us parts we wanted. For years, we've been asking for gimbaled lights. We got them. For years, we were asking for the variable pitch propellers. We got them. What was the other one recently? I can't even remember it. What was the other one we got recently? What the hell was it? We got right around propellers. Shit, how am I forgetting this? My poor brain. Let's see. I'm trying to think. What is it? Why can I not think of this? We got the variable pitch propellers, and we got something else around there. I can't even remember what part was. I was all excited about it. I'm trying to remember it. Just trying to see if I can find it. We got, oh, the pulleys. Pulleys. So we got pulleys. And so, like, there are parts that are probably coming. But again, the devs have their own plan. We have the things that we want as well. You know, some of these things take years for them to make. So just put it on the feature request, and you know, first search for the feature you want and star somebody else's. That way, it's easier for the devs to see what people want. So just finishing up some chat here. Yes, the needles would look exactly the same. It was like the picture you sent me. The picture you sent me, Basilicious, is an HSI. I'll bring it back up real quick. That is, that's what it would look like on the, that's what it would look like exactly on the artificial horizon. Looks exactly like this. Same needles. They would move left, right, and up, down. You know, these ones here would actually angle a little bit. I would not angle them if I were you. I would just make them go left, make them go right. That's what all the modern ones do. They go left, right, up, down. That's it. And so what you would do, Basilicious, I think I sent you a message on this one, is you would want to make it so that there's an on-off condition, so that if it is off, the needles would disappear, and if it's on, the needles would appear. And the reason that happens is see this gap area here? What would happen IRL is if you don't have the frequency in or you don't have it tuned, these needles would shoot all the way to the left and you wouldn't be able to see the needle anymore, and it would go all the way down and you wouldn't be able to see the needle anymore. If you tune in the ILS, the needles would then snap into position. And so they would be, you know, let's say the course was to your right, the needle would be all the way over here now. You'd be able to see it, but it'd be over here. And this one would be all the way at the top. But when you don't have the frequency put in, the needles disappear because you don't fly around all day with these. And in a modern, let's see if I can bring up a, let's see, RJ145 PFD. All right, so here is like, this is what a lot of the airlines have for them. Let's see. So like the primary flight display and a lot of modern stuff, like here's one that doesn't have the ILS. Like, okay, so like this actually displays the point. So like on this one, you don't see it because the ILS is not tuned in. Because the ILS is not tuned in, it's not showing. And then when you tune the ILS in, I don't know if I'll be able to find one with the ILS in there. I'm trying to find one. It's hard to find one while they're on the approach because, like, most of the time, people take pictures of the cockpit. Like, you're not supposed to be taking pictures while you're flying around. Especially, you're not supposed to take... Here it is, right here. You're not supposed to take pictures while you're on the approach. You're supposed to be flying. And so... But this is a picture of what it should look like, Basilicious. So, here's your normal artificial horizon. This is, of course, a flat display, but I like your rounds better because they're old school. But, like, this is what it would happen. So, like, notice most of the time you don't see the pink bars. The pink bars come up when you have the, when you have it turned on. So, there's your vertical, there's your horizontal component. They only come up when you're, when you have the ILS tuned in. Or the VOR, depending on what you're using. But, yeah, I would make it just like the picture you sent me on Discord. I'll show it one more time. This one here. This one's perfect. Just make it so that when you have it off, the user has coded it to be off, the needles disappear, and when the user has turned it on, the needles will now react. So this one moves left, right. This one moves up, down. So that makes sense, Basilicious? All right, good. All right, let's catch up on this chat here. Yeah, but you can make the wingtip parts yourself. Like, I just make my own wings. I never use the wing parts. The only time I use the wing parts is for my ultralight, and that's because it needs to be very light, and the wing parts are very light. We now have information Foxtrot. Yep. Yeah, METARs would be cool to send. Like, so what you do is you listen to ATIS. Let me see if I can find that... approach plate that I brought up So like here's the approach plate for that I'm working on. So like if you look here, you have ATIS right here. That's Airport Traffic Information System is ATIS, and so you would put in ATIS, and ATIS is 132.5. So you tune in 132.5 into your radio and you listen to it, and an air traffic controller just records it. So they record it every hour unless there's changes, and that's the METAR. And so what they'll do is they'll go Boston Logan International Airport. This is information. Foxtrot, wind 030 at 10, gusting to 27. Visibility 1¾ statute miles. Overcast is 700 feet. Scattered at 300 feet. ILS is I'm trying to think exactly how to say it. ILS runway 33 left, 33 right in use. On initial contact, advise ATC you have information, whatever I said it was, Foxtrot. So that's what ATIS is. So you would listen to ATIS, and that is how you get the most recent weather for the airport. Often, especially in large commercial jets, you tend to have a printer in there, and you just print it out as well. So you would print out the ATIS. Let's get how's it going, the aircrafter? Yep, Sooty was saying hello. He brought his toy, but he was yelling at me. He was trying to keep me up last night, so he's been sent away. Yeah, he usually eats and then he brings me a toy to thank me. Yes, module engines. Oh, both propellers. Yeah, I wanted to look analog too. I prefer the analog, Basilicious. Yeah. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and what do I want to do? Let's look at builds, see if I want to build something. I'm going to do some of this cooling testing here. Let me show you one quick thing on the. I won't. I showed you the other day the cooling testing, but just more cooling testing. Let's see. Might boot up the. Let's boot up the save and go do some missions. Where is it? Right there. Yep, so time check on the Build Challenge India. Time is coming to a close. So it'll be this Saturday morning at midnight. So the strike of midnight Friday night will be when it is February 17th. So that is as soon as the clock ticks from 11:59 on Friday to 0000 on Saturday, it is due. So keep that in mind, people who are participating. So that's some good Tarkov yesterday. A lot of good clips coming out of that. That was some fun Tarkov. All right, let's go ahead. All right, so we're in the same place. All right, so let's try to grab a mission. I think we'll go put ourselves in the Betty Boo. Let's do this. Trying to reduce my no clip as much as possible. Try to wrap the Patway up so I can get it out to you guys. It's pretty much done. I can't think of anything else to add to it. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. Somebody who had like limited understanding of how this thing works is like, oh, well, you know, it'd be better if you hid the reaction wheels. I'm like, yeah, but where the hell are they gonna go? They can't go anywhere. You know, it is about as small as it can get. The other thing too is they don't understand how precise this thing has to be. Like oh my god, if I could speak, the center of gravity is right between the axles, pretty much. And so the reaction wheels, in order to counteract the force of the wheels trying to move the handle, have to be at the axle, and so they can't be anywhere else. And your standing area is that 3x3 space there. It has to be a 3x3 for the handle, so they can't go anywhere. They have to be there for a number of reasons. Dog is in the water again. This dog, this thing's gonna get dragged in the water if I'm not careful. I won't plug it in because if I plug it in, I'm gonna end up losing it in the drink poo. The problem is like the way this does brake turns, so when I go backwards, I need to cut it wide, and then I have to stop, and then I have to go forward because it couldn't go left because of it. That does make for a good picture. We'll get a pic of that. I like my suit. There we go. I was gonna plug it in, but that's way too close to the water. All right. So there's the pathway. Let's go up and sleep. Got all my firefighting duds on. So I started making another module for the mini truck. It's just too heavy, and it's not utilitarian enough, so I'm going to build a different truck for it. So what my thought was to be able to drop down a hopper to put fish in, and then drag it up and transport the fish. But it only has one hopper, so like it's just too small to be useful. So that's unfortunate problem. Like I could have put some stanchions on there. Oh, nice. That one's money. That one's money, honey. Get this. The other thing I was thinking that would be really cool is now that we have reaction wheels, again, for people poo-poo in space, but reaction wheels are a really good get. The benefit of the reaction wheels now is that we can, like for example, I can use a ducted fan and I can tilt it with reaction wheels. That's kind of like for example, a Harrier uses ducted gases to maneuver. And so instead of ducted gases, you can use a reaction wheel now. So you can just have the ducted fan spinning, and you can use the reaction wheels to tilt it forward to go forward, back to go back, left, right. So you just need pitch, yaw, roll. And now you're able to utilize that. And so you can make some really cool drones now that should be pretty space conscious. See what we're working with here. See, 670 divided by 6. We're talking, there's got to be 10. So what did you say? CG, you said your engine's 6-cylinder. The other thing you can do for efficiency is try to increase the engine size and drop the RPS. You're talking like, what, 10 liters per second? That's huge. I don't know how it's so high. I'm interested how that's so high. Oh, you post your boat? Good. Trying to read chat while I'm doing this. Yeah, first thing I'm doing is checking price. If it's overpriced, disqualified. So let's make sure prices are clearly stated in the rules. I already have a fire suit on, which is convenient. Hey, there we go. Hi, let's get a couple med kits. I was trying to get my methods better here where I grab the med kits first, and then when I res people, I can immediately heal them up because often I will... Ah! The guy does not want to jump. He really does not. These guys died fast. Very callous with how I throw these people. Very curious. Tomorrow we're getting a new part. So, very curious to see what the new part is. I love parts. Parts, parts, parts. Parts are king. My favorite thing is parts. Grab, throw you on the ground, like the demon you are, and grab a new defib. Ah, you dirty bastard. think it was 3. We'll double check it. Yeah. Okay, good. That's a pretty good jump when you have somebody on your back. Let me double check the mission. Brigeau's pretty big. To put it into perspective, Brigeau's about the size of the fishing boat. It looks, the scaling, it doesn't look that huge, but it's a pretty big boat. How's it going there, Daniel? Good to see you. Yeah, you can use RCS as well. I'm just trying to do like a really, really tiny drone. It would be good for an airplane to do RCS. Like I was thinking drone would be kind of cool. And that way you could use reaction wheels. I'm kind of in a make some small builds mood. You notice I made that tiny little skiff and the Patway, and I'm making a motorcycle. So I'm trying to make some things as small as possible with as limited logic. It's kind of on the kick I'm on right now for fun. Okay, good. So yeah, it was just typo. Good. Glad it's just a typo. I had one of the challenges, somebody was like double the cost, and it's like, oh, I didn't see the rule. It's like, dude, it's there. You know. Read one by one by one. I numbered the rules this time specifically so I could be like, see rule 5. But yeah. It amazed me sometimes. Like most of the guys who normally participate in the challenge are pretty good about reading the rules, but literally I'll get some stuff and it's like, this has 4 rules violated, and like, oh, I didn't see it. It's like, well, you just didn't read the rules. You know, it's frustrating. Yeah, but usually the guys who normally participate know what's up. I hope not to have to disqualify any, but we will see. I never like to do it. It's just, it's never fun, but you know, it's not fair to everybody else if a build's not conforming to the rules and then they conform to the rules, you know. That was the whole controversy of the tanker challenge, was literally people trying to just get around the size limit. You know, people are trying to do it at the beginning of this challenge. It's like, there's a size limit for a reason. You know, all you're doing is cheating your other competitors by trying to break the rules. So don't break the rule. Follow the rule. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But follow the rules. That's why they're there, is so that everybody can have a fair thing. It would be like, you know, you're running a marathon and everyone else has to go 24 miles and you only have to go 12, and then you say, hey, I won the marathon. You went half the distance, you know. Doesn't count. Or if one person in a basketball game gets more points for a basket than everyone else. Not fair, not happening, you know. Alright, look at all these peeps. Come on, come on. That one person is losing health as we speak. So yeah, I'm curious what this new part's going to be. It'll be interesting. I try not to guess ahead of time. Like, people are like, oh, I bet it's this, this, this. And they get all hyped up and then they get disappointed, so I just wait. Kind of like to see what it is and kind of like to be surprised. It's kind of fun to be surprised. Alright, you still following me, all you people? Alright, that's good on there. Where you at there, guy? Ah! Alright, let's get in there. Get you people sent off. Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I like this little van. This came out nicely. I like the transmission. I like that it has a tiny motor. It's a 2-cylinder in here. That stuff is fun to me. It's, you know, proper transmission. Like, you know, a vehicle can get, you know, it has good utility when a vehicle is overpowered, like most American cars, or like my motorcycle is way overpowered. I have more horsepower on my motorcycle than I do in my car. And it lets you, like, you know, it lets you just lug around too, where like if you had a tiny little one-cylinder motorcycle, you really have to, you can't not be in the right gear. You'll just stall, you know, and so that's kind of like this, is I have no power. If I shift up too early, I have no power. I'll just completely stop, you know. All right. You know, so it makes you kind of have to be an operator when it will just, you know, you have to operate it properly or it just won't work, you know. That was a steep fine for, here. That was pretty steep for not healing that person up. That was like 500 bucks for not feeding them a, you know, a quarter of a health back. How's it going there, Rasmus? Good to see you. I'm trying to read chat while I'm driving, so if I crash, I blame you guys. Now, that's pretty easy, 9 grand right there. That was more than 9 grand. We got 3 grand for the fire. That was, let's do the quick math on that. I'm interested in something here. So let's see. It was about 2535 plus 9. So that was 11,534. So that would be, you need to catch 115 fish to equal that. So like some people are talking about how fishing is way OP on price. I could see it because you could sit at the dock and fish, but that didn't take us that long. I didn't time it. That didn't take us that long, and we'd have to catch 115 fish and sell them to equal that. I don't think that fishing price is terrible. You know, I don't think it's all that bad. You know, it kind of gets in that meta nonsense where you're like, you know, where you say, I could stand at the fish dock and just fish. Yeah, but is that fun for you? You know, and if it is, great. But, you know, to go, like, for example, to come over here and to just stand and fish for the express purpose of making money, if that's fun for you, great. But, like, I wouldn't want to do that, just stand here and fish. You know, I'd rather go out on the boat and do it. Part of it, again, is fun per hour. It's not really money per hour. It's like, you know, don't need that. I just want to look at the hospital boat really quick as it goes by. Who was saying that the hospital boats, some of them are not showing? Okay, this one won't spawn in that far away. That's too far. I thought it was going to be right here. It's way the hell out there. So never mind. We won't see that one anyway. Let's see. Let's do this. I just want to get rid of a couple things. So let's grab... empty. Maybe we'll fly, switch bases with the ultralight. I'll show you what I did in the ultralight. Just please go where I want. There we go. Okay. I'm just getting rid of crap that I don't need on me. All right, good. That's gone. Save it one more time. Catch up a chat here real quick. Yeah, I like these little vehicles the best. You know, a big old, like, unlimited power vehicle is fun, but it takes out some of the engineering challenges, and I kind of like the challenges, you know. No monitors, so I think we'll put them back on points. Now, listen, monitors, like, look at my stuff. Monitors do not, like, I like it when somebody does some really good Lua. Yeah, great. But don't pick like a favorite based on that. Oh, you're saying community favorite? Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, personally, that's why I do a community favorite, and I do my favorite, and I do points. Is often like it depends on who's voting. It depends on like, for example, a lot of this is stereotype, but a lot of the younger people have never like been in a vehicle that doesn't have a digital display. And so for them, they may not like analog stuff. And for those people who might have grown up with analog stuff, they prefer analog stuff. And so, it's for me, that sometimes I'll pick a favorite and then the community picks something completely different. And then sometimes the community picks the same favorite as I have. So it's, and it depends on what the community is looking for too, like sometimes if XML is overdone, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's just overly, I don't know, bastardized the word. I don't know if that's, it's just, I don't know, it's too much for me sometimes, too much XML, and then sometimes the community loves it, so that's great. The community got to pick their favorite. I like it, sometimes when the community has a different favorite because it, it gets more people who get recognition, and it's that person's recognized by the community, and then another person's recognized by me, and so it's good, That's why I have multiple winners is, different people appreciate different things, and so the community can kind of speak what was their favorite element as well. All right, let's go and, okay, I know what we're going to do. All right, so let's go ahead, and I need to put the Patway away, and let's take the ultralight, and I want to move some fuel. I've got a little bit of time. I've got an hour 15. I kind of like the instrument panel feel. Like, my favorite, like, aesthetic for, like, dashes and stuff would be, like, the Alien movies. That's what I like, even when I make some Lua displays, they're pretty, like, old school looking. I don't want a bunch of whiz-bang and, like, some friggin' anime girl pop up when it starts. I don't want any of that bullshit, for myself. I think it's super cool when people do that stuff, and I appreciate it, but it's just, like, if I were to pick it, it's not what I would do, for myself. Oh, you bastard. This terrain is really giving him a heck. Oh, don't go in the drink. Don't go in the drink. Stop it. Oh, come on. Stay out of the drink, you dickhead. There we go. My God. Trying to go in the drink. I did pick some miserable terrain. They did have segways that were, this is not a Segway, of course, but they did have segways that had off-road tires on them. Oh, I was afraid it was going to go in the drink. I needed to put the brake on when I get off, but I can't code it to do that. Because I don't have, I might have a space on the, I don't think I do have a space on the microcontroller for that. Okay, let's grab the new ultralight. Piss off. Alright, so this is the new ultralight. So I was talking about earlier, like, this is much more compact. I really like this engine. Got the engine compact with a radiator. So this cools really well now. Did some other minor changes. So let's go ahead and give it a fly. Like, this is, like, this would be a cool challenge. Like, if you look at this, this is $4,800. So, like, if you were starting a beginner save at this base, this is the base I would personally start at now, if I were you, is you get a free land base, the hospital's right there, and you've got a seaport, beautiful, and you've got oil right there. It's a great spot to start. And so, like, and you can launch some air vehicles because it's not in the hangar. So, like, this thing is 4,800. The reason I use wing pieces is because the whole weight is 377. So it's super light, which is nice. All right, so let's go ahead and start it up. All right, I need to put the flaps down. Still doing some testing with it, so there we go. All right, I haven't even gone full power yet. I'm just trying to make sure I follow the procedures correctly. There we go. All right, I need to try to put my flaps up. All right, there we go. So this would be kind of a cool challenge just because it's, you know, you have to really go small. And that's like, you know, see I XML'd the a block in there to hide those microcontrollers, which are unfortunately shimmering. I haven't done any making invisible microcontrollers. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't mind covering them with XML, but I kind of don't like deletion. So the nice thing with this too is I can read my temperature down here, but I can also look right up at the radiator. So like, look at this radiator. It's moving 123 liters per second. This thing is moving really good water now, so that helps it stay cool. So you notice it's not screaming as much. I really did a bunch of stuff to try to cool this off, so the RPS is much more restrained. I find the RPS. RPM is, it's RPS, but I think it was at like 25 before. It's at 18 now. And the speed, we're doing 151 knots, so it's fast as well. You might get 70, 80 knots out of one of these IRL. Like, look at that place down there. That would be a fantastic, like, business or shopping center or something where you have to deliver things. So, like, imagine if that was a grocery store and you have to deliver food. Like, you could get food deliveries there where you have to deliver, like... They could have some cool, like, multi-stage missions in game. For example, say, X village requires you to deliver, 35 fish within the next 2 hours, And so you would go and you would go fishing, then you'd load them on a truck, and then you'd carry them out there, and then you'd deliver the fish. That would be a cool mission I think the devs could add. Stuff like that I think would be a lot of fun. Checking our temp here. So like this is running nice and cool now. So nice little way to get around. Pretty simple and easy. But I really like these small builds. They're just a lot of challenges to them. Let me try to catch up with chat. You guys moved beyond where I was, so I gotta move up. See ya. Yeah, I was just chilling. Yeah, like certain XML windows will give you that shimmer on one side. Of course, window pieces would be a big hit. Just trying to catch up on chat. Yeah, you have to get really close to that hospital vote, which makes sense. It's that's part of the optimization. Is stuff doesn't pop in until you get close. Yeah, like even in the Embraer 145, we had a backup. We had the captain had their, so the way it worked was the captain's panels were run off one computer. The FO's panels were run off a separate computer. And that way, let's say that the captain's computer goes down, you could do a reversionary panel off of the FO's computer so that you would duplicate the FO side. And that was for redundancy. And then you also had a old school vacuum artificial horizon, and then on some of the planes they had digital artificial horizon. So you had 3 of them total in the airplane. So you had 3 separate computers or an analog system for redundancy in the event that that went down. We also had multiple airspeed indicators for the same reason. Like if you see a lot of pitot tubes on a commercial jet, it's usually for redundant systems. Sometimes they're used for other flight data systems, so you need those as well. I'm just putting the flaps down here. I got to trim. All right, there we go. I'm going to come in and land. We need to go check on our fuel situation here. This thing is very fast, so I got to slow it down a little bit and watch my airspeed. That's the problem with like using analogs on this one, is the gauges are very tiny. So I'm watching that airspeed. I don't want it to really go slower than vertical. Okay. So that's gonna cause me to flip because okay, I know what's up. Come on, give me some power. I gotta quickly raise these flaps. The flaps are attached to the propeller pitch for the actual pitch of the propeller. Come on, come on, come out of it. Come out of it. I can't throttle up. I trimmed the throttle. Motherfucker. I trimmed the throttle. Remember I said I hate it that I trim the throttle? That's so stupid here right now. I'm stuck in the build, so I gotta do this to get out. That was a trim throttle problem again for the 900th time, which pisses me off. That's the trim throttle problem, is if you're trimming and you try to change your throttle and you have the Alt key pressed down, it trims your throttle and then you can't power up. So I wasn't able to power up, so I stalled. That's like one of the most frustrating things in game to me, is that trim, that I can't, like, all I want is when you click on your seat, the ability to check which ones you want trimmable. And I would do the up-down arrows as untrimmable. And that would fix my problem. So instead of bitching about it, I'll put in a feature request. But it's frustrating when it does that. It really is. I'm just going to no clip over there for now. That's friggin' annoying. So that's a game annoyance. So this is neat. Look at the tires. See, the tires are gone. And when we spawn in, they come back in. That's neat. All right, I'm going to fill that bug report out because that pisses me off. 900 times this thing kills me. It's the scariest thing for me when I'm flying an airplane in game, is it does that, where it trims my throttle and I can't change my thrust, and something very very innate to pilots, where we need throttle control at all points. We can go through these funny bug reports too. This will be fun. They got one that says this game runs like crap. It runs fine for me. It sounds like your computer is crap. We can actually see what they have for a computer, too. Alright, let's see. This game runs like crap. Let's see. If I spawn anything that is kind of big, anyone that is connected to my multiplayer game will be running or walking very slow. Let's see. 11th gen, 2.6 gigahertz. i5 is probably pretty low. 3060 is not bad. 16 gig of RAM is too little, probably. Yeah. So, sounds like a PC or an internet problem. Or your buddies have terrible PCs and internet. Because we played multiplayer the other day, no problem. With people, everybody was in Europe except me. We had 4 or 5 people on. Everybody was in Europe except me. Right, create issue. Let's search first. Let me follow my own instructions here. Let's see. Trim. Trim reset button hotkey. Trim reset button mapping. Trim control improvements. Alright, let's read some of these. Let me start by saying we love the... Okay, I don't need the preamble. After pressing the desired input for a trim vehicle, it'd be nice to have a hotkey to just... Okay, yeah, you can hold both of them, though. Yeah, see, this is the one right here. That's 2 years ago. Okay. Trim reset button mapping. Yeah, you can press both, so you don't need that. Okay, that's fine, but it's not really what... this is from Thales. This is a good one. I'll start, but that's not really what I'm looking for. So, but this is Thales. Thales, if you don't know, has done some good mod packs. Thales makes some good stuff. This is a good feature request. He's got pictures. He shows you what he wants. It's easy to follow along. That's a good bug report. The fixed game is not. Output range, output motor trim setting controls. Yeah, so a lot of people asking for reset. They just don't know you can press both of them. Okay, so I'll make my own one because I think it's warranted. Let's go ahead and let's do this real quick. Let's leave him here. We have to rescue that ultralight. But this thing gets me crashed more often. Like, if I could have thrusted up, I was like, why can't I thrust up? And it was because of that. So the reason we got in a problem was we got too slow, and now the propeller pitch is too high. So let's go ahead and bring this in. All right. All right, let's go ahead and bring up H menu. Let's do this first. Try to make a proper bug report here. So what I would want is when you're on the seat here, what you should have is a checkbox next to these that lets you determine whether or not they are going to be used. So let's go ahead and we'll take a print screen view of this. Okay. You know, the easier you make it for the devs to do these things, the more likely we'll get them. You know, the harder they are, the less likely the devs are going to want to do it. You know, it's because it's like anything in life. If you make something easy, if you suggest stuff, it's easier for somebody to just do it than you know, if you don't give them any input on how it should be implemented. Because by doing that too, you're also showing them how you want it. And that's helpful as well. So, you know, they don't have to do all the research. They don't have to say, well, is this even we could work 2 days on this thing, and if this isn't what the person wants, we're wasting our time, you know. And so you kind of want them to, you know, I know I want them not to waste their time. I want them to do stuff that is useful, you know. And they certainly don't want to waste their time either. So it's helpful to add as much input as you can so that hopefully they give you what you want. All right, and then here we go. Let's see. Is there a checkbox? Let's see. See if there's an emoji that I can use. There it is, right there. Okay. I put a layer on that? I did. Okay. It's on that top layer. It is. Okay. Let's back it up. Another layer on there. You mean the text, son of a bitch. There we go. Okay. Give me this, please. All right, so this is how I'd like it to look. So you essentially, if you want trim axis 1 to be able to trim your axis, you put a checkbox in there. Check, check. Trim axis 4 is my throttle. I don't want a trim axis 4. So if I left it blank, this would not trim. That's kind of what I want here. So let's go ahead. Let's see. There we go. All right, let's see if I can, probably Imager. Let's get that. Forgot I zoomed my Google all the way in. I was like, why is that so friggin' zoomed in? Because I zoomed it in. Yeah, this thing has gotten me killed so many times because of its nonsense. All right, so let's go back there. So this is the desire to try to get this to work, right? So let's see, subject. Let's see. Let's see. Wow, spelling. Right. Let's see. Can't spell for shit anymore. All right. All right, so it goes. It's important for some trim axes to be deselected. For example, when flying, it is critical to be able to trim pitch. The issue arises when another axis is used for thrust. For example, I use WS for pitch, which I need to be trimmed all the way. I need to be trimmed constantly, all the way to touchdown. Trimming. I need to be trimming constantly all the way to touchdown. The throttle axis for me is usually up-down. While holding Alt to trim pitch WS, I often inadvertently trim the throttle axis. This makes the throttle stick, which is very dangerous and can lead to a crash. What I propose is a checkbox where you select the axes on the seat you would like to be trimmable. When deselected, it will ignore trim. Thank you. All right. All right. Oh, shit. I put it as a defect. God damn it. I didn't mean for it to be a defect. Damn it. That was my issue. Fuck. Why would it not copy everything? I literally just did that. Come on, copy it, you bastard. There we go. Okay. I don't know if I should even make another one. I probably should. Feature request. All right, there we go. All right, there's two of them there. I wish I could delete one, but I can't delete them, so. All right, I don't see the other one, so I wonder if I can't put two in at the same time. All right, anyways, I'll put this on the Discord, so if you guys want to support that, you can. If you don't, good for you. All right, so that's up. Yeah, but you can see why that's a pain in the ass. Is it trims up my throttle and then I'm screwed. You know, so it's in features right here. Okay. Yeah, so that just sucks. It makes it really hard. You know, I wish I could delete my own one here. This. All right, there we go. All right, so let's go through a couple of bug things on here. Let's read some chat real fast. Then I'll go through some of these bugs that people have been reporting. Kind of like to keep up with it and see what people are doing. I'm just trying to catch up here. Let's see. How's it going, Tanib? Yeah, trim lockout is important. Like IRL, you'll get runaway trim, and so if the trim moves a certain number of seconds, this used to happen in the airliners all the time. Is you would move the trim, it would go trim, trim. And so if you held the trim down too long, it thought it was going runaway trim, and it would yell trim, trim, and it would stop the trim. So you'd have to let go of it for a second and then re-trim again. But I'll see if I can find a video of pilots coming into land, and you're constantly trimming. It's constant. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it could have been their internet too. If their internet was potatoes, that would destroy it too. Yeah, like a moving sensitivity on there would be cool. Yeah, I agree. You know, it's going back and fixing quality of life stuff. They could work for the next 100 years on quality of life stuff, so you know, I certainly get that. A B missing in the first sentence? Okay. I can't change it now, yeah. Why can't I create bug reports and feature requests even though I have no clue? Are you signed in? You gotta sign in to Star. If you go to the top here, click on this banner, and you can sign in there. You don't have to go in through Steam. That will bring you there to sign in, but you can sign in there. Once you're signed in, click on Stormworks, and then you want to go all the way to the bottom. Issue tracker, and then that will bring you in signed in. But you can see it'll say signed out if you're signed out. No, somebody's already doing it. All right, make custom doors. Let's read some of these. Let's read the defects. These are always fun. Game runs like crap. That's very useful. Thank you. Harrison Air Base is above the ground. Okay, interesting. Let's check that one out. Check it out real quick. Harrison. Let's see. I saved over there. I'm just gonna kill this save. We'll go do something else for a little bit anyway. But Harrison's over here. It says Harrison fuel tanks. Let's go there. Interested to see what this person's talking about. It looked fine to me. It's probably on their local end. Because I think that they act as vehicles. The pumps are vehicles, essentially, so. Let's see. Stormworks default. Can you please change the default trading oil of coal? I don't like the way the trading everywhere is the same price. Okay. What you can do is do trading. And then go through here and actually star the ones that are popular. You know, so here you can do another search for price. Bring back old resource prices. Here's one. Close duplicate. Set as duplicate. Come here. 6 months ago. Please make fuel prices more complicated because at Sawyer South Village you can buy and sell diesel very easily. It's very farmable and players can just, yep. So this is the one the devs want you to go to. So instead of that guy making a new one, he should have come and starred that one that that he agrees with. That's kind of proper procedure for this stuff. Just play around in custom doors. What is this? Refiners are not broken. I see that one way too often. Yep, custom doors without a robotic hinge do not work. That's very simply do not attach the external frame without it, which is why the assumer is to be airtight. Yep, I agree with this one. You used to be able to lock a door in the frame with the controller. What is it called? I gotta see what it's called here. Let's boot up the custom. We'll work on something quickly. I don't have a ton of time. I can still play, but door frame controller. That's what it's called. The door frame controller. It. Like, this is, I think, a better way to get the devs to see these things is like redundant posts that are all the same that have 1 stars are easy to ignore. You see one with 38 stars, it draws the eye. Refiners are not broken. Okay. This one I see on a daily basis. Refiner's not broken. I can refine. Let's see. I tried everything. Preset oil rig, which was updated lastly. Some examples from the workshop. None of them. It seems that the broken tank pressure mechanics make it impossible to transfer heat to the tower. No, it isn't. Let's go ahead and we'll send my my workshop link. See, this is what bugs me, because like if the devs think that it's broken and it's not, they'll make changes that could ruin it. For and it already works, and it's more disruptive, and that's why it bugs me when people do this. I get it, but it's like, I've got a tutorial out. So again, I see this all the time. It's like, it's not broken. It literally works. Just because you don't understand it or you haven't figured it out yet does not mean it's broken. Heli disappearing mid jet fuel duplication during. Okay, this is from Evil Froshekin. I'm gonna actually test out his rig. So he was asking me to test out his rig. I got to test out his rig. I'll do that later. But that was, I have to look at that one. Unexplained pressure in tanks. This fuel setup consists of multiple small tanks, fuel intake, and engine hose connection, gas relief. The tanks are not full. There are about 30 spent. There are no gases in the system. The rest of the tanks will be vacuum. Tanks for 20 atmosphere. Fluid can't be under pressure. Yeah, because the devs already stated they pressurize fluids. So I don't, yeah, so I don't know the exact setup, but biner's not broken. It's annoying. Let's see. Liquid relief valve has extreme slow flow rates. Not, I don't think it's the liquid relief valves. I think it's the it's not the liquid relief valves. It's the fluid ports. They might all have the same amount, but it's the fluid ports are where it ends up coming out anyways. Okay, radar. I'm just curious. Like, sometimes I like to check these out, see what people are having issues with, because that's how I know what tutorials to make. Thank you, thank you. I might do an automatic transmission tutorial too. I hate automatic transmissions, but people want them, so I might make it. You don't want the stars. Okay, so first of all, hello, Melimi. If I pronounced that incorrectly, let me know. So you watched the new player career build series. Let's go through it real quick. We'll just look at it. Let's see where you're at. The other thing too is if you have anything you want me to work on for the new player career build series, Melimi, for example, as a new player, I don't know if you are a new player, but you just watched the new series, so If you have anything you want on that, you can go on the Discord and put it in video requests or comment in the New Player Career Build Series videos, wherever you like. That lets me know what new players need, because as somebody who's not a new player, I don't, it's nice for me to know what people need as well. So let me know if you need something. So like, first is going through setting up the world. What is episode 2? Let's see. Okay, gear ratios, rudders, pretty much starting to build the boat. 3 is stability. 4 is fuel. I have a duplicate. I gotta get rid of this one. GPS nav, making our boat faster, and man overboard switch. If you go to my, let's find it. Where is it? I've done a stormworks basics recently. Here's stormworks basics. This has what, 72 videos? That's it. I thought I had 77 videos. All right, so this one has 77 videos. Some of these are old, but for example, if you want to build airplanes, you have the plane tutorial. You can use these if you want, like this auto clutch tutorial, the car tutorial. The car tutorial is still pretty valid. Automatic transmission tutorial, you can still use that. I'm going to do a new one probably. Helicopter tutorials I have for both standard and coax if you're interested in helicopters. This submarine tutorial, I'm going to make a new one. This one's with the old system. It still may work, but, with pressurization. But I'm going to do a new submarine tutorial. Dualies, if you want to make dually tires. Jet turbines, pretty simple. That should work the same. Numerical switchbox piston tutorial. The new one is better. This is my most watched video, so I don't like to send people away from it. I've got new auto clutch tutorials. If you watch any of the modular engine tutorial series, the most recent one, I do auto clutch on that, so I'd recommend that. You may want to go toward the newer tutorials. I would kind of go to, actually, personally. Kind of go from the new tutorials and see what are here. For example, like oil drilling, if you want to do oil, steam. Like if I were you and like say you wanted to build a modular engine, I would go to this most recent one, and that way if anything has changed in the updates, go from the most recent ones. That tends to be the best course of action to make sure you have the most up-to-date stuff. So that's personally what I would do. If you're looking for if you're trying to do cars, there's the steering stability tutorial, gearing tutorial, transmission tutorial, modular engine tutorial, car tutorial for that. Navigation, you can do the GPS bearing panel. Let's see. This was a smart-ass video mostly. Why is it even in here? This was made to be a smart-ass video. Let's see. Pump jam. Yeah. So that's what I would do. Malimi. I would do that. It'll go through those. Yeah. But like I said, if you have anything you would like to see me do, go ahead and post it in the comments on those videos. That way I know what actual new players need, because it's me guessing what people need. So good. Yeah, but I go through the tutorials. That's the most important thing. Kind of focus on what you want to build, and then you can look through the tutorials for that. Does fuel go through making your engine fuel efficient? Does fuel go through making your engine fuel efficient? I don't know. I don't know what that means. Just reading some chat, guys. Fuel efficiency is basically fit an overpowered engine and run them as low. For the most part, yeah. Not really. More cylinders, more torque. It depends. Gearing, you can convert. You could have a 1-cylinder engine with more torque than a 20-cylinder 5x5. If you a 1-cylinder 1x1, if you geared it low, will the game necessarily do it perfectly? No, but you can. Let's see. What's this? Let's see. Achieve more than 70. I already posted this, dude. Let me see. Okay. This was another one I posted on. Let's see what he says. I've been reading around about other people's attempts for. Well, why didn't you just follow the tutorial guy? I gave you the tutorial. I'm talking to this dude here. He says he couldn't get his oil above 70. I showed him a tutorial that gets the temperature up to 300 plus. And then he's still asking questions and not watching the video that will teach him what he's trying to look for, so I don't know. You can lead somebody to water, but you can't force them to drink. Yeah, I'll get off this in a second here. I'm trying to think if there's something I want to build. I don't have a ton of time, so I'm trying to just kind of go through this here. I'm interested in what issues people are having. Modular engine cooling, let's see. Inline 3x3 is impossible to cool using fresh water, salt water, or air. It runs at 25 RPS. That is your problem. Oh, I already answered this one. Yeah, 25 is insanity for a 3x3. You gotta imagine the forces involved here. Like when the piston goes up, the heavier the piston, the stronger the pin needs to be. Let's see if we can get a piston diagram. Reciprocating piston diagram. All right, reciprocating piston diagram here. So this is a good one here. We'll look at. Of course, it isn't. So like this one here, you have a connecting rod right here. Okay, connecting rod connects the piston. All right, you have the connecting rod right here. Okay, so if this thing weighed 10 tons and it's an enormous piston, it's going up, and then it has to stop. All the force goes on this connecting pin right here. And so as the piston goes up, it goes to top dead center and stops. So you have all this force, mass, and speed going up. Force is all we care about. Force going up, and it stops. So that puts an incredible amount of G-forces on the pin. And so what's going to happen is if you have a big, heavy motor, it needs to go slower, or else you need to have unrealistically strong components, like steel. And you start adding steel, titanium. Well, titanium's too brittle, but you start adding steel and some other components, the weight goes up even more. So it becomes a real pain in the ass. That's why big engines tend to move slower. A tiny little, very, very light piston can move incredibly fast. That's like if you, if you talk about something like a motorcycle engine going 20,000 RPM. The pistons are very, very tiny, incredibly light, and they don't move up and down very much. They tend to have very short strokes. And so when you get into a big engine like that guy's talking about, a 3x3, he's trying to move it at 25 RPS, which is 1,500 RPM. So that's fine for like a truck engine, IRL. In game, I tend to go with about half. It should be half as fast. So like if you're talking let's see, 1,600 RPM divided by 60. So you're talking about 1,600 divided by 60, 26 divided by 2. So like for my truck engines, I go to about 13 max. And that is about what I find works in the game. Is the engines are bigger than they'd be in real life. So they need to be moving even slower than they would IRL. And so a big heavy engine, because the mass of the piston, if you shoot it up with too much force, you're going to break the pins. And so you shouldn't be moving your big engines too fast. They should be moving slower. Like 25 on a 3x3. Oh my God, what's that sound like? Let's figure out what that sounds like. It's got to hurt the ear. I can't imagine that's happy to the ear. So like here, this is my test rig for a 3x3. So here's a 3x3 modular test. I'm hooked up to a generator for... So this is just for resistance, for load. Alright, so this here is a 4. He's got a 3. That's 10 RPS. That's about max what you should be running this bad, John. Alright. And that is, so this will cool fine. This cools fine. So that is making 1016 S-watts. So that's a considerable amount of power. This should be enough power to run anything, really, that you're building. 25 is insanity. I need to hear what 25 sounds like. It's got to hurt the ear. It really does. I can't imagine it not destroying my hearing. Let's see. Let's hear what 25 sounds like. Oh, it's gonna hurt. Oh. Oh. That's what... Oh my god, it's miserable. That's what 25 RPS sounds like. Like, how do you play the game like that? Oh. That's miserable. I can't imagine. That is terrible. That's like... That sounds worse than Redline. Oh, that's brutal, dude. Ugh. Ugh. Dude, somebody on Reddit, they were putting their engine up to 50. Oh my god, I want to hear that. That's brutal. 50. That makes me puke. It was, I think it was a 5x5. I think they said they had a 5x5 at 50. I was like, 5x5 at 50? Oh my god. Oh my god, that is brutal. I can't. Oh my god. Jesus. Like 10 sounds sweet and beautiful. Like, let's load it back up. A 10 sounds beautiful. 10 RPS sounds good. So this goes to CG's comments too about fuel efficiency. $50 is brutal, man. Ugh. What a yak. Like, listen how good that sounds. You know, I still hear so many complaints about people like, the engine sounds suck. No, the engine sounds are fine. You're running the thing too goddamn high because you don't have the gearing done. You know, which is fine, they don't understand mechanical advantage, but it's like, the point is, you know, you decrease the RPS and you gear it up. So, like, here is, this sounds sweet and beautiful. I like the sound of this. Sounds good. All right, it's moving at 9.973. We have it into a gearbox, going 29. We're making 1015 S-watts. Beautiful. All right. Let's do something real quick here. Could I build one real quick? I don't know if I want to build one real quick. So, like, for example, let's say you're going to build a 5x5. So let's take a 5x5 crank. I haven't built a 5x5 in forever. There's no need. Like, I don't... Like, I could see a couple, like if you had, like, a large ship that had a, what do you call it? A XML edited workbench, I could see it. But, like, I cannot imagine a 5x5 being useful unless you're XML editing your workbench. Like, Triton is max size for the workbench. It has 2 8-cylinder 3x3s. And they run at, like, very low RPS. And that is more than enough power, you know. All right, let's do that. So, like, if we're going to be running a 5x5, we can run the 5x5 at a much lower RPS. So we're going to do a quick little test here. Let's go. I'll just make them. Let's grab 5x5 cylinder heads, put those on there. All right, so I'm just trying to make them equal size. That's all I'm doing here. Yeah, let's do there. It's fine. But I can't imagine revving it that high. Just like how do you like have the sound on in your game and you listen to that? I just can't imagine. It's got to be absolutely disgusting. I'm just gonna shut overheating off so I don't have to worry about plumbing this up because that's gonna take 100 years. I don't have a lot of time, so. Alright, there we go. And then let's grab you, son. Gotta be difficult. Gotta be one off, huh? Read this message real quick I just got. Okay. Alright, let's see, what else do I need here? I always forget something. Let's put some starts on here. Just the more starters, the faster it starts. The centrifugal starter is beautiful, though. Like, if I was going to do a 5x5, I'd probably put a centrifugal starter on it. Let's see, what else do I need? I'm not doing cooling because I don't care. Let's see. That's pretty good. Okay. Let's go ahead and we will... Let's go ahead and we'll just dupe this. Stop. Dupe you, dupe you, dupe you. Copy that. Let's put you up here. You can run the 5x5. This could be RPS. Please just connect and don't make me do it 3 times. Air manifold. Coolant pump we're not worrying about right now. Starters. Oh, Jesus, there's a lot of them. Oh, Jesus, there was a fire. Let's see. Raid fans we're not worrying about. Alternators we're not caring about. Fuel manifold right there. What are you? You are bat. I need a bat. Alright, you got a battery in there, okay. Okay, let's go. What else do we need here? Battery can plumb in. What are you? Clutch? Klooch? Klooch? Where are you at? Klooch? There you are. Klooch. Let's see. We need you to plug in. I think we're good to start. Okay. Let's run this 5. And so the test is the engine is bigger, should have more power. So we should be able to reduce the RPS to run the same equipment. So let's try it. That's the clutch having issues, it sounds like. Might have two... Oh, it duplicated the clutches because I grabbed it and forgot to cut off this clutch. That would be why. Okay. Make sure the clutch got plugged in properly. Okay, let me check it. Yep, okay, good. That would probably be why we're having issues there. We're having some air issues probably. Let's see what the issues are here. That's diesel. We got diesel going in. We're having some air issues right now. Let's see what's up. We're not putting enough air in this sucker. Might need to do multiples with a 5x5 to get it to run right. P-value is probably a mess too. Yeah, it's p-value. Okay, let's quickly fix the p-value in here. Right, let's add a node. You know, different size motor is going to need different p-values essentially. So let's go PID tuner. And where are you at there? Right there, guy. Okay, update that. Let's grab our PID tuner. That's what it is, PID tuners. PID needs to be tuned. Let's put it that way. Composite. Nice. All right, so let's play with this. Let's start with 1 and we'll dial it in. Let's start 0.1. I guessed it on the first try. I went all that trouble trying to PID tune and I guessed it on the first try. P-value is way too high. Alright, so this is making 1269, right? Now, this engine is way underloaded. Alright, so so this is what this is going to tell you, is this engine's underloaded, right? Let's start this one up so we have them next to each other. I'm going to shut off overheating because I didn't bother plumbing this one up. Alright, so this one here is pumping out 1,000, like, what are we talking? 1016. This one's pumping out only 1269. Alright, it's going a little bit faster, but look at the RPS. Why is this one at a lower RPS than this one? It's at a lower RPS because the engine is stronger. So this one is being resisted. They're both set to go to 15 RPS. This one is more burdened by this generator. All right, so now what we can do is, I gotta step these up. So let's go cut you. Let's try like a 9er on there. So we want to burden this engine so that it's under more load. We want to take the 5x5. 5x5 is going to be ridiculous to cool at 11 RPS, but we don't need to. We can drag it down. Yeah, if a person's incapacitated or in a rescue mission, you have to use the reser, the defibrillator, to get them up. Yeah, you have to. I think you have to make them conscious. All right, so now we're down to 5, and look at this. All right, so this is what you want to be doing with your big engines. Now, the generator, you don't have to make a generator. The point of the generator, the generator is work. The generator is your propeller, whatever you're turning. Your propeller, if you're making electricity, electricity. So before, this thing was doing 1,200, okay? It was only doing 1,200 RPS, and it was only doing 1,200 S-watts, and this was running at 11. It's now running at 5, and it's doing 2,300. All right, so this is still probably too high for a 5. And this is where people run into their issues. So let's go do it again. So that's a 9-1. We'll have to check something here. Let's go like this. You know, and so we're trying to get this to do more work. So let's do a 2-1, 3-1, and I'll put a toggle on there. And this will allow me to, because I'm probably getting to the point where this is going to be too much work for this. Why won't that post there? What's going on? Why can't I put this why can't I put this node down? All right, fuck you then. I'll do it over here. Can it be a pain in the ass game? I'll do this. It's not the game's fault. It's something I'm doing, but I'm blaming the game. Let's see, like everyone else. Let's see. Hotkey 1 doing anything? No. Okay, 1. Right, that goes there. This goes to there, and then we should be able to swap that one out. Let's go ahead and start that up. Point 1. So like this engine has a p-value of 0.18. This one has a value of 0.1. You could hear that it was going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down on the air. So you knew that the p-value was too high. That's wise. The generator wasn't merged, I guess. All right, generator didn't get merged. All right, let's do that. I was like, why does this have 14 again? Because the generator didn't get merged. Again, this is kind of like to answer CG, you know, to talk why CG, why I have you do your own microcontrollers. So you hear this? That's the watch what the clutch is doing. So right now, this is telling us that the engine is not powerful enough to go to that because it was at a 9-to-1, and then now it's trying to do an 18-to-1. It's too high. Can't do an 18-to-1. So what we'll do here is we'll do back that off. That stays. This one is getting backed off. This one backs off too. We'll do a 6.5, 3.2. See if that's powerful enough to run it. So we've even stalled out the 5x5 doing that. That was too much. All right, so we're burdening this engine even more. All right, so notice it's going down now. We're at 22. We're at 2,300. So now what that's told me is that I'm beyond the point. So what I'm doing is I'm overburdening my engine. So what I should do is if I want more power, I actually want to go like this. And I want to hook up that, and I want to go to here. And I'll hook that up to 1. And so now we're back to the 9-to-1, which was making 2,300 S-watts, and I want to make the second one here 5.2. All right, let's spawn that. And I should change the p-value, so I don't have to keep clicking it, but we might tune that in. All right, so this is what it was before. Should be like 2,300, 2,318, okay? So this one here makes 1016 at 10. This one here makes 2317 at 5. Okay. Now if I switch this over, this is now it's more burdened, and we're at 2295. So that tells me, let me check it real quick. Okay, so that's telling me that if I go, let me try one more here. I shouldn't have taken out that other gearbox yet. I took out the gearbox, and that's problematic. I want to leave enough time I can read chat. All right, so let's go ahead in here, and let's do, where's 1 on the seat? All right, so we'll make this will stay 3-to-1. I don't need to change this, but I will. All right, now what we'll do here is we'll make this a 1-to-1, 6.5. I'm very close. And the reason what I did was I backed up. I went from a 9-to-1 to, I got to do the multiply, 15, was it 7.5? 7.5. I went from a 9-to-1 gear ratio. It would be a 1.9. Let's say it right. I went from a 1.9 gear ratio to a 1.75 gear ratio, and that caused it to actually decrease. So what I want to do here is I want to go to 1.1, and I want to make the second value 6.5, and we're going to see if this will increase or decrease it. I might have found a 1.9 is actually the best, so we'll see. But this is going to give you the most work out of this engine. But does it kind of make sense that, you know, by increasing the size of the engine, we can load it up more, get more work out of it. By making it go 11 RPS at low gear ratio, we were getting barely any extra power out of this thing. But by actually gearing it up, we're starting to get more power. So it could be the loss off of this. I bet it's the loss off of that gearbox. 2213. Go ahead and swap it. Yeah, so I think the best for this is going to be the 9.1. Yep, definitely 100%. So 9.1 is the best gear ratio for this particular setup. All right, and so this kind of answered that person's question that they were talking about, was they had a 5x5 and they couldn't. One, that they were never going to be able to cool it, but also it's like by running it at a lower RPS and geared up, you're going to get more mechanical advantage out of it than if you're going to have it screaming with no gear changes. So by doing these gearboxes, that's given us much more mechanical advantage. It's given us much better results. So like that's our best case scenario. If I go up any more in gearing, we're going to lose output. If I go down any more in gearing, we're going to lose output. So this is the ideal gear ratio for this generator, right? And so it's based on the resistance. Like you can't just plug this into a propeller and have it be the quote-unquote the best, because the propeller moving water is going to have a different level of resistance than the large generator. You have to test it. So like this kind of demonstrates that. This is moving at 5 RPS. This one over here moves at whatever it's moving at, 10. So this is at 10. So that's double. This is moving at double the speed, and it's producing less than half the output because force is mass times acceleration. The mass is the mass of the components in the engine. All right. So the force is coming from the mass and the acceleration. So it's mass times acceleration. So there's two ways to make more force, right? You can increase the mass, bigger engine, more cylinders, bigger in size, or you can increase the acceleration, the RPS. So those are the two ways you can make more power. Now, I could probably make a 1x1 that screams like crazy that would make the same amount of power, but it would have to be at an incredibly high RPS. And so as you step up in size, the whole reason why a ship has a huge motor is so that it can move, to get that force, and it's getting the force by making the motor bigger and go slower. You make the motor slower, you can now go faster. You make the motor slower, you can now make the motor go faster to get the same amount of force. It's why, for example, like if you have a, I don't know, let's see, Lamborghini. I don't know the latest one. Let's do a C7 Corvette. Corvette torque. Not torque tube, torque number. Torque number. C7 Corvette. Please just show me the torque so I don't have to be here. Okay. So a C7 Corvette is 455 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. Okay. To put that in perspective, let's do a Mac MP8. Mac MP8. Let's see. Is it horse and torque? So a Mac MP8, right? Sam, I gotta shut this off. It's making too much noise. So Mac MP8, which is so you have the Corvette engine, right? The Corvette engine is for a race car, right, or a sports car, right? It goes 400. It has 455 horsepower, and it was like, what is it, four and change of torque. All right. The Mac MP8, which is a truck engine, all right, it has 415 horsepower. Let's say 415 to 505. So we'll use the low estimate. It has 415 horsepower, and the torque is 1460. It has it has more than 3 times the torque, and it has less horsepower because the engine is bigger. It's moving a lot slower. The red line is a lot slower, but because the engine is bigger, even though it moves slower, it has more power, more torque. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me quickly catch my chat, then I got to go. But a little bit of a different episode today, but got to go through some good stuff here. But yeah, like kind of Tanup's thing, talking more cylinders, more torque, theoretically, because what you're doing is you're adding more mass. By adding more cylinders, even at the same RPS, you're adding more mass. You add more mass at the same RPS. The M is greater, the A is the same, you get more F. So hopefully that makes sense. But 25 RPS, 50 is insanity. Yeah, the high engine sounds are terrible. It's like people be like, oh, everything sounds like a lawnmower. Nothing I make sounds like a lawnmower because they're geared, you know? Yeah, they're not great. They could definitely use some work, you know, absolutely. I still think the best thing is have them record like 10 different diesel engine sounds and let us use a slider, or let us pick which one we want, and then let us do pitch and volume. That would be beautiful. Like if you wanted to make, for example, a sci-fi build that has silent engines, you could put a diesel in there and crank the volume to 0, and now you have your diesel-powered sci-fi build. You know, that would be really cool. You know, but I agree. The sound's not great. But again, you know, they have 4 people. They said they hired an audio engineer. You know, so you know, how much work can they get done? You know, with 4 people. That's what I always go back to. If it was a huge company, you'd expect the sound to be better. You know. Yeah, the screaming sound. Yep, that's usually what it is. If you forget to hook up the RPS, the engine goes to max because it thinks it's at 0, so it pegs the throttle as high as it can go. Yep. Yeah, like you start doing cigarette boats, they're supposed to scream. Like motorcycles are supposed to scream. Things that are supposed to scream sound okay at high RPS. Things that aren't, like a truck, like a semi, like when somebody's semi goes, wah, I'm like, oh my god, it sounds like a 4-cylinder crotch rocket. You know, no thank you. Like a 6-cylinder engine CG, that could be why you're having an issue. That's pretty small. Like my fishy boat has 2 10s in it. You know, so 2 10s and it can run pretty low. How's it going, Zachy? All right, let's go ahead and we'll thank the members. But yeah, so I'm going to do some more tutorials. I got a bunch of stuff that needs doing, so we'll do some tutorials. Tomorrow we're getting a new part, so I will be streaming tomorrow. So thank you to the members, Side of Mountain, Connor O'Boyle, Danny, Sergeant Chaos, Aaron Perzall, Erasmus, Manda VR, and Anton Anderson for being members. Thank you to Chicken Soar for being a patron. If you guys are new and you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. If you like the video, please like it. And if you like any of the other ones, please like those as well. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll be on tomorrow for the new part. See you later. Bye.